Ask your pharmacist for Prostavol in the blue box. No prescription necessary. Prostavol. Complete prostate health.
The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al Ansar and the Al Ansar Foundation.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you courtesy of the Willow Tin Group, at the forefront of innovation, and one of the leading competitors in the South African FMCG market.
Wednesday morning, the 2nd of October, 2024, and in recent headlines, Justice and Constitutional Development Minister Thembi Simelane has come under fire for a controversial 575,600 rand loan she allegedly received from GWS. This has sparked outrage across political lines, with Action SA laying criminal charges against her for alleged violations of the Prevention and Combating of Corruption or Corrupt Activities Act and forgery. Joining us on the program this morning to expand on the topic, Action SA Parliamentary Leader Athol Trolliip. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube as well, so you can watch and listen into the interview should you want to. Mr. Trolliip, good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Rush on Radio Al Ansar.
Good morning, Nicole, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you for joining us this early in the morning. Tell us, why has Action SA felt it necessary to take legal action against Justice Minister Thembi Simelane?
Well, first of all, when this whole saga became known to me on the 26th of August, after reading a story in the Daily Maverick, I learned that the current Justice Minister, when she was mayor of Polokwane Municipality, had taken a loan from Gundo Wealth Solutions. Now, Gundo Wealth Solutions was a contractor that invested 350 million rand of the Polokwane municipality's funds into VBS Bank. And as soon as the commission from that investment flowed to Gundo Wealth Solutions, the mayor then made a loan. Obviously, this, seemed untoward, and I immediately wrote to the Public Protector on the 26th of August to ask the Public Protector to investigate this matter independently, because Ms. Simelane is now the Minister of Justice. And the Minister of Justice is probably one of the most important positions in a constitutional democracy. Mm-hmm. And she also presides over the National Prosecuting Authority. So the Public Protector wrote back and said she would respond to me in 10 days. And on the same day, I also wrote to the President to inform the President of what my actions were, so that he could not be bemused and, feign ignorance about it. And I also wrote to the Speaker of Parliament to ask the Speaker to provide me with the Minister's declarations in a previous parliamentary term, the 6th administration, as well as the 7th administration, so that, we could see whether she declared the loan or whether she declared the company she had bought with the proceeds of the loan, etc. Now, a lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. The Public Protector missed her 10-day deadline. I then had to reach out to her again, and she sent her representatives to have a meeting with me. They missed the first meeting. We then met the following day, and they started asking me more questions than I was asking of the minister. And I wrote back to them to say, these are the matters that need investigation. And it just appears that there's no appetite to deal with this matter. The President himself, when he was in China on a business trip, had said that he needed time and space to deal with the minister's, the allegations against the minister. He's been back from China a couple of weeks already and hasn't dealt with it. And then day before yesterday, the allegations were made that these forensic journalists have a contract, but the contract appears to have been backdated. Now, that really troubled me, because we had an interaction as the Justice portfolio with the minister, and we asked her a number of questions over a period of about 3.5 hours. She provided no material evidence to the fact that there is indeed a contract. And now apparently the contract looks like it was backdated. So it appears that the minister might have lied to Parliament under oath, which is also a matter of uttering, and that's a violation of an Executive Members Ethics Act as well. So there's a lot of stuff around this loan, and we have now decided that the public protector is not interested, the president's not interested in dealing with it, the speaker hasn't responded to me. Therefore, we must lay criminal charges so that the law can take its course, because the minister has to answer to these allegations in a court of law.
Could you elaborate on these claims and what evidence suggests that the documents may have been created after the agreement?
Well, I still haven't seen the document, but what I have read is that in the document, it is referring to matters in advance as well as referring to matters in the past. Now, that often happens when you're trying to recreate a document, because you're 6 years down the line and you're trying to remember what was happening back then, and you're now currently in the current time. And those people who do the forensic kind of investigations will pick up those inconsistencies. But that's not my job. My job as a public representative for Action SA is to make sure that the Minister of Justice, in particular, in this particular case, is beyond reproach, that she is a person of ethical integrity, that she is a person who is competent and capable and suitable to be presiding over our judiciary. And here's the biggest concern for me. We all have seen what happened in the years of state capture. We have I don't know how many terabytes of information from the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, yet nobody has been prosecuted, charged, sent to jail, especially no one in high political office. Now we have a Minister of Justice who has this cloud of suspicion around corruption hanging over her head, and nothing's being done about it. So I think the final step that we took to lay criminal charges is the right step. I've now heard that the Hawks have indicated that they are also investigating. The Minister's office responded yesterday to say she will now no longer make any comments on the subject because it is now a matter under investigation or sub judice. And I want to tell you something, then I was even more convinced that I did the right thing, because many people have hidden around the sub judice rule for many years in this country, and there's no such protection. The only thing you may not discuss is evidential issues that will impact the court or the court case. Nothing says you can't discuss a matter because it's being investigated. Of course, you can discuss a matter as long as you're not compromising the case.
Tell us, what are the potential risks to the country's legal system if these allegations against Simelane are proven true?
I think it's I don't have it in front of me, but I think Section 175 of the Constitution refers to the responsibilities of the Minister of Justice. And in that section, it refers to the fact that the prosecuting authority, the NPA, must, in concurrence with the minister, determine what issues will be investigated, prosecuted, or not. Now, think about this. If the minister herself is implicated in corruption and the prosecuting authority has to ask the minister's concurrence to investigate a matter against the minister, what is the likelihood of that matter being investigated? Zero. So that is why it's so critically important that the Minister of Justice must be beyond reproach, and that the Minister of Justice holds the scales of justice in her hand, and she must be completely squeaky clean, if I can put it that way. And at the moment, the minister is not squeaky clean. There are many questions about her integrity that have come out of this loan matter. And I must tell you that during the process of interaction with the minister, with the Portfolio Committee on Justice, every time a member asked a question and the minister answered, there were more and more people shaking their heads, even in the gallery and amongst the members of parliament. So to date, I have not heard one coherent response to any of the allegations, save for the fact that she said, let me give you an example of why I say when you answer questions and you create more questions than answers. She said that when she was the mayor, she had no authority to determine where money was being invested or what procurement was to be done. As a mayor of a municipality, and I was one before, she's right on that respect. But later, in the same interview, she said that when she heard or learned that the investment had been done ultra vires or unlawfully, she instructed the municipality to get the money back. Now, if you can't instruct your municipality to do anything with money, how can you instruct them to get the money back? And then she claimed that there was no loss to the municipality because the full invested amount was returned to the municipality. Now, there are two questions there. What happened to the interest from the invested amount? Secondly, the commission that was paid to Mr. Gundo from Gundo Wealth Solutions, nearly 24.2 million rand, that money was lost to the investors of BBS. So it was life savings of elderly people, poor rural villagers, etc. They lost at least 24 million rand from this transaction. And it is from that 24 million rand that the then mayor and current minister took her loan. So that money was lost to pensioners and people who had put their life savings into BBS.
As a final question for this morning, given the serious implications of the allegations, how soon do you expect to see tangible outcomes from the criminal charges laid by Action SA?
You know, that's a $64,000 question. As I said, you know, we've had the Zondo Commission, we've had 9 wasted years under Jacob Zuma, followed by another 5 wasted years under Cyril Ramaphosa, and no senior politicians have been prosecuted. That my job as a member of parliament and a public representative for Action SA is to make sure that I use every single lever available to me to hold members of the executive to account. Now, I've used a couple that didn't work. I now have asked the police to investigate. I will be following up on this matter on a regular basis, and I would like to see the minister in court as soon as possible to prove her innocence, or for the court to prove her guilt as soon as possible. And I will be leaning on the investigators, and I'll be using the media, and thank you for the opportunity to talk on your media outlet, to put pressure on the authorities to make sure that that happens, because at the end of the day, that's what we want as South Africans. You know, here's another curiosity. Only one person has been prosecuted under state capture or the Zondo Commission, and that person is a resident of the United States who corrupted people in SAA, and they have been prosecuted and found guilty in the United States, but no one in South Africa. Isn't that curious?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm just going to say thank you very, very much for your time this morning and bringing insights to our listeners, knowledge to our listeners as well. Wish you and the team well in your endeavors.
Thank you very much.
That was Action SA's parliamentary leader, Athol Trolliip, on the show this morning as Action SA lays a criminal complaint against the Minister of Justice, Thembi Simelane. She's coming under fire for controversial loan that she allegedly received from the Gundo Wealth Solutions. That's it for the show with Meneer Trolliip for this morning. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening from our set of Vodacom stores and, of course, get into the last half